Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be with us here. My name's Rachel Balian. I'm the Director of Mentor Relations at Partakers. Have a few people I just want to thank as we get started. I want to thank Martha Hausman for all of her hard work and dedication putting this event together. And we have our three volunteer coordinators here with us tonight, Amy Benjamin, Sally Chrisman, and Melanie McFarland. So I just want to say thank you to them. And if you move forward with this, they will become your new best friend and guide you with all of their wisdom and knowledge. So I wanted to say thank you. I am going to share my screen. Let's see, can everyone see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. So again, welcome tonight. We are here to talk about the opportunities that Partakers organization has for mentoring. Partakers has been around for over 25 years and has been working with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals. We're going to this evening talk about the two main programs that Partakers has. We'll be able to hear from a former student, from some mentors, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. The first thing I wanted to say is there's two main programs that Partakers has, and the first is the College Behind Bars program. And that's possibly its most well-known, it's long-standing program where individuals that are incarcerated and pursuing their college degree are paired with a team of mentors. And those mentors will go into the prison to visit them, communicate via email, and sort of be their support as they're pursuing their college degree. One of the reasons that it's so needed, and just some statistics to kind of put some things into perspective, as far as global incarceration rate, the US is 3 times as much as any other NATO country. And Massachusetts is more than twice of the other countries, which is staggering that one state can have more than twice that of entire countries. What we do know, though, is education makes a difference. We know that as far as recidivism rate is, normally it's 50% within the first year, 75% within the first 3 years. But with the college degree, only 5% of those formerly incarcerated individuals return at all. So we know that it impacts recidivism when they get out. It increases the likelihood of them having employment when they get out, but it also creates opportunities and broadens horizons while they're still behind the wall. So Partakers partners with 3 different educational institutions. The first is Emerson and their Emerson Prison Initiative at MCI Norfolk. And when you see MCI, it's Massachusetts Correctional Institution. It just determines where it's located. And that's located in Norfolk. We also work with Boston College and their prison education program at MCI Shirley. And then we work with Tufts through the Tisch College, also at MCI Shirley. And right now, Tufts is in need of mentors immediately. Their cohort just started this January. And then in the fall, both Emerson and Boston College will be needing mentors for their fall cohort. So there's opportunities immediately and in the future, and you can decide what your comfort level is, what your distance comfort is. You want to be in the vicinity of where you're going. Some people don't mind driving. All of that is taken into consideration and thought through and worked through with you. So I always like this quote because if you think about, now I'm going to mentor someone who's in college, what if I don't know how, I'm not an economics major and I don't know how to speak Spanish. And the truth is you don't need to do all of those things. You're not there to be a tutor, you're there to be a support. And really your ability to interact human to human is really what's important, your ability to care. Time commitment. You're usually grouped in about 3 to 4 team members per student, and some organization of that team needs to visit in person once a month. And then there is a specific email system called Core Links that you'll be able to contact your mentee with. I just wanted to ask Martha, do you mind watching the chat for me? And
no problem.
BC also needs mentors now. So I take that back. They need them all. Well, they all need mentors in general. So that's why we hope you're all here. Being a mentor also sort of fosters this community that happens when individuals are released and sort of amongst the cohorts in school together. They apply to have partakers mentors. It's not a requirement. So it's something that they are looking forward to, something that they are desiring. Consistency is critically important. You want to just be consistently present. You don't need to be a licensed therapist. You're really there to listen more than anything and to be a support and a resource. Few things that are important. You never want to ask your mentee about their crime. If they are willing to share with you, they will, but that's not something that we ask them. You're there to support them through the normal challenges of being a college student, but with that added component of trying to do so while incarcerated. And we can talk more about the details of what that process looks like in a moment. Tell me if I should slow down. Our second program is the Partakers Empowerment Program, or PEP as we call it. It's a reentry program for individuals who are returning to the community after being incarcerated. We know that recidivism is a large social issue, and particularly within those first years. So Partakers Empowerment Program works with people, individuals who've been released within the last 3 years, most within a year, along with Brandeis University and the Brandeis Educational Justice Initiative. And so the students are formerly incarcerated, the mentors are volunteers, and similar to College Behind Bars, Brandeis students run the workshops, the educational component, and Partakers supplies, for lack of a better word, the mentors. In PEP, it's usually 2 mentors per mentee. And instead of the long-term commitment of College Behind Bars, where you're with your students throughout their college career, the empowerment program is a 14-week program. So it's meeting with them weekly, but for a much shorter period of time. They go to classes weekly, you meet with them weekly, and then there's mentor meetings where we check in with each other and support each other. So I think I can say a lot, but it's much more, it's much more valuable to hear from someone who's experienced it. So I am going to introduce the wonderful Angie Jefferson. I can't see you, but I know you're there. Who is a College Behind Bars graduate, a Partakers Empowerment Program graduate, and a PEP TA. So she has been a part of all of it and is much beloved. And she will share with you about her experiences starting with College Behind Bars.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angelia Jefferson, but you could call me Angie. I was incarcerated at MCI Framingham for 31 years. I had natural life, no parole. When I first entered Framingham, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I had just been handed down this natural life, no parole sentence. I had 3 kids, my siblings, my family, everything like that. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, but I knew that I wanted to get an education because I had dropped out of school when I was 16, when I had my first child. I dropped out. So when I got to Framingham, I didn't know my way around. Slowly but surely, I learned my way around. I, I ended up signing up for education. I went to education 4 days a week. In the mornings and in the afternoons, I had to take the TABE test. I took the TABE test for the first time and was disgusted with my scores. I was reading at a 6th grade level. My math was just 0 to none. I think I was on like a 4th or 5th grade level with my math. And I said to myself, no matter what happens with me while I'm here, if I don't do anything else, I'm going to get my education. So I continued to go to school. I went every day. I had to take the GED test 11 times before I passed it. Me and math just did not get along. I struggled with the math portion of the test for the longest time. But in the end, 2013, I ended up getting my GED. That was the only test that I had to take because my other scores, they stood for 3 years. So as I was going on and on and on, they let me take the math test. I passed it with flying colors. I got every question on the test right. That's because when I went back to my room, I had the book with me. I was studying in my room. I had 2 tutors, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. I was determined to get my GED. Once I got my GED, I signed up for culinary arts. I signed up for cosmetology, I'm sorry. And I wrote a 500-word essay to get into Boston University. I got into Boston University 2 months after I got my GED. Went to Boston University as I'm going now. I'm not saying that it was easy. Please don't think that because it wasn't. But now I have the knowledge and the wisdom that I need to write a paper, to do research. I only had to take one math class. Thank God I had to take one math class, but I ended up passing that. I got an A in that class. And that's a goal that I had set for myself. I said, as long as I'm going to Boston University, I will never receive a C on my transcripts because the way I struggle with my GED, I said, now that I've passed that hurdle, I know I can do this. I never received a C on my transcript. I was on the dean's list 5 times. I made the dean's list and I got all A's and B's. Praise God. I graduated with a 3.71 GPA and I was so happy about that. My degree sits right there on my table in my living room, and I am very proud of myself for my accomplishments. I love that I got my bachelor's in liberal arts, but my biggest achievement, I want to say, is my GED because that's where I struggled the most, getting my GED. But that led me to bigger and better things. I graduated cosmetology while I was going to Boston University. I graduated cosmetology. I did the dog program. I was involved in the Partakers program. I have 6 wonderful partakers who were with me from the beginning, and they're still with me to this day. They've been on this long ride with me. When I got them, I let me see, I was there for like what, 28 years when I got my Partakers. Yeah. And they rolled the whole wave out with me. They were there for me 100% if I needed any type of papers to study, because in the libraries on the inside, we didn't have computers, we didn't have up-to-date books or none of that. Our minds were our computers. Our hands, we used to have to write our papers out. I remember two classes, because I took 3 and 4 classes at a time. And I remember I had to write two 30-page papers by hand. My hands was like this by the time I finished writing. They were so sore from erasing, writing over. I had sticky notes all in my room, just doing everything that I had to do because, like I said, I didn't want to get a bad grade. That was the goal that I had set for myself. But it took a lot of, like I said in the beginning, knowledge and wisdom, reading and studying up 2 and 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, writing papers, doing everything that I had to do to get through. But with my partakers' help, they helped me out like you wouldn't believe. My family, they would have helped me out too had I, presented it to them. But with my partakers, I had 6 of them. So for one class, one of my partakers would send me the work that I needed for that class. With another class, another partaker, they just took turns every time I got into different classes. They're wonderful women. I love them so much. I just had a Zoom call with them last week. They are my forever family now. I don't call them friends anymore. They are family to me. They came to my parole hearing. They know my kids. They know my family. They know every little thing about me. They came to my apartment. I mean, I just cannot say enough about my partakers and the experience that I had while I was in Framingham. It wasn't like holding hands, skipping through roses or anything. I had hard times there. But what got me through was my education, because I knew once I started educating myself on everything that I needed to educate myself on, I knew that I would stand firm and have a stronger backbone than I did when I entered the prison. Since I've been home, I completed a course at Boston College, an entrepreneurship course. Oh my goodness, the things that I've been doing since I've been home 2.5 years. I can't even tell you all the things that I've been doing since I've been home. I'm very proud of myself, of all of my, excuse me, I'm very proud of all of my accomplishments, and I'm going to continue to do the work. When I got in the prison education empowerment program, Arthur, I met him while I was in Framingham, and when I came home, he contacted me. I was at New Beginnings, and he asked me to do the program. So I said, yes, I will do it. At first, I was kind of leery because it's like, these people really don't know me. I don't know them. But then I started thinking like, it was, there were mainly men on the call. It was me and 4 other women in my cohort. And I felt a little uneasy, but as time went on, as the weeks went on, I got better and better at it. And before you knew it, we were graduating, and I was talking to Arthur, and I said, is there any way that I could stay connected with the program? And he said, if we think of something, I'll let you know. So every time a cohort came around, I would help with the computers. I would help the women that needed help with certain subjects that they were talking about. Then I became a TA for the program. And now that I'm the TA for the program, it's like this program just does so much for me and my community. I call the men and women that's enrolled in the program, my community. They're my family, they're my people, because we know each other. We've been through the same struggles with each other. We love each other. We're there for each other. We show kindness. We show gentleness. We show grace to each and to all of us. But this program has done so much for my mind and has done so much for other people's minds. And I just love it so much because it just gives us a brighter outlook on life and lets us know that we are not alone. We have people that care for us, people that we don't know, that we start to get to know, like the mentors. I didn't know my mentors at first. When I first went to the visit and I seen them down there, I'm like, oh my goodness, no disrespect to anyone on this call. I'm like, oh my goodness, here's these older white ladies. They're going to sit, they're going to judge me because I'm a Black woman. I'm in jail. They're going to think that I'm angry. Not one time did they judge me. Not one time did they put me down. That was my own mental abuse that was going on in my head from everything that I have been going through inside of the prison and in my life, period. Thinking that I was going to be judged, but they did not judge me. They didn't. They were always open and honest and respectful to me. And like I said to you all, I love them dearly to this day. They are my family. I carry them in my heart and my soul each and every day. I could call them right now and put them on the phone and they will tell you everything. But once again, this program means so much to a lot of us. And I'm getting a little emotional now because it's like when we come home, society society likes to tear us apart and they like to look at us like we're not human, but we are human. We made a mistake. We're not perfect. But at the same time, we're trying to get to the point where we can just sit back and take a deep breath and say, thank you, Lord, I made it. That's all we want to do. We just want for someone to listen. We just want for someone to be there. We don't want no one to do the work for us because we can do the work ourselves. We can do anything that you put in front of us. We just need someone that cares. And that's all I have to say right now. And I'm
Thank you.
sorry for crying.
Angie, can I ask, Rachel, I'm just gonna ask, Angie one question. Angie, thank you so much. As a mentor, I get a question a lot, like, what do you actually do? If you don't tutor, what do you actually do? And I've been mentoring for a year, and I don't feel like I'm good at answering that, even though it's, even though I have an amazing relationship, and I think what you described is happening, with my mentee. Can you say what mentors actually did for you? That,
They were there for me. They listened to me. They helped me. Like if I had an issue, they would help me with my issue. If I didn't understand something, they would help me figure it out. Like I said, we don't want you all to do it for us. We just want someone that's there with us to help us along the way. So that's what you do. Just sending an email or a phone call, or if you take them out to eat, whatever the case may be, that right there in itself, you are doing so much. You know, you feel like it's not a lot. And like you said, when people ask, you don't know what to say. But what you do, you're helping someone make it through to the next level. That's what you're doing. Do you understand that?
yeah, I
Yes,
do. I
that's
hope
what
it's
you're doing.
helpful for
You're helping
everyone.
them
Thank
to the
you.
next level.
Thank you
Thank
so much, Angie, for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
And don't ever apologize for crying. You do what you need to do.
Okay.
So I realized I left out a giant piece of important information, which is that the empowerment program is all over Zoom. So we will talk about those things in more detail briefly, but I wanted to also just ask a few mentors to share their experiences. I know as a mentor myself, two of the things that make the biggest difference is consistency. If you say you're going to be there, be there. When you get an email, write back. I know about it from my mentee, but I can't fully imagine what it's like to wait and wonder what's happening. And if you don't show up and you don't email, they're left just wondering. So that consistency is really important. And then just being your authentic self, being someone who cares, someone who listens. And I think one thing that was really impactful is that it doesn't always, like Angie said, it doesn't jump to being that relationship. It can be challenging at first. The first time I met my mentee, he looked at me and my mentor partner and said, "Why?" why are you doing it? And I thought, oh, that's just like a really great question. And I hadn't really thought through. And I think that once we shared why we were doing it, it was like the first little piece of the wall coming down. And now, after almost 4 years, we have an amazing relationship, but I wouldn't anticipate that happening right off the bat. There is always sort of that trust you need to build and sort of faith you need to earn. So, Martha, I was going to ask you, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so that you can share with us your experience being a mentor.
Okay, thanks. I began mentoring in last January. I am paired with two other mentors. One was a friend, one was someone I had never met before. So one thing I really like about the Partakers model is being in teams. As Angie said, she had 6. I don't think we have 6 teams of 6 anymore. You got lucky. But so that's really nice because you have support from your co-mentors, and also you can visit in pairs or on one-on-one with your mentee. So we just kind of rotate. If I go with partner A, then partner A and partner B go the next month, and partner B and C go the next month. So the commitment is really less than once a month in terms of visiting. And then we email, we were told to email a couple times a month. It's really fluid. It just really depends on what your mentee and you want to do. One thing that we did was my mentee, his name is Brandon. He told me about a book he was reading, and we decided that I would read it too. And so in our emails, we talked about the book. So that was really fun. But I mean, I think, as Angie said, from my side, not from the incarcerated person's side, you just watch this relationship develop over and over. And I think we have a unique role in being someone who doesn't have any stake in the student. We're not a family member, we're not a corrections officer, we're not a teacher. We just are there 100% for them, with no preconceptions, no, no baggage, no nothing. You just walk in and listen, talk through things, hear what they want to tell you about their family or their life, what else they do in prison. My mentee is the president of his Toastmasters Club. So, and I know who some of his friends are in prison. I know who he trusts and who he doesn't trust. So it's been one of the most meaningful things that I've done. It's opened a whole new world to me. And it's been incredibly impactful, I think, for both Brandon and me and my mentor partners.
Thank you so much. I believe I also asked Melanie if you are willing to say a few words about your experience.
Sure. So I actually started mentoring, I'm going to date myself, when Partakers was really, really new, many, many years ago. And I supported a woman in the BU program at MCI Framingham. And she graduated and came home just as I was having kids. And so I did not immediately take on a new student. But about 5 years ago, I got asked to be on an education committee at my church. And I right away said, let's talk about this education. And we invited Arthur to come and give a talk. And what I didn't anticipate, but probably should have, was like 10 people just said, oh, I want to do this. And so I got back in the game, and with the Tufts program, which was then at MCI Concord, and I mentored an amazing guy who graduated last January. And I was so honored to be able to go to his graduation inside and sit with his parents. And Tufts leadership were there, state legislators were there. I mean, it was the most moving graduation that I've ever been to. And it's just been like, I often say this is the most rewarding, minimal, flexible time commitment of anything I do. My husband goes, my son went for a year before he went to college. And that was just, he's like, I say Shaquan is like my third son now. He's remarkable, his work ethic, his sense of joy, like his positivity and persistence and ability to persevere. I mean, he got his college degree from inside prison during COVID, and they couldn't have visitors for 2 years. And the only way to isolate people in prisons is with solitary confinement. So it was such, I mean, I just have so much respect for him. And he's also in the dog training program, so he gets to bring a dog into the visiting room, which I love. He is a master dog trainer. I keep saying you should go straight to Tufts Veterinary School when you come home. We always get tons of advice from him. Like we learn from him. And I think we get at least as much out of the relationship, arguably more. It's been such an eye-opening experience. It's in moments heartbreaking and frustrating to see the structures in place and how our society and our country and our state treat human beings. So it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. But I'm so motivated to go. And, you said something earlier, Martha, like you asked Angela, and I thought that was such a good question. Like, what is it that we do? And when I onboard mentors, I anticipate that question because I've gotten it enough times from these very concrete thinkers who say, let me get this straight. Like you don't tutor and you can't bring anything inside. So what do you really do? And my answer is we do bring something inside. We bring ourselves. And that's the deal. That's what we do. We show up every month and we say, how are you doing? How are your classes going? How can we help? We provide encouragement and support. We listen. And we end every letter with, we're here for you. We believe in you. We're rooting for you. And it's that simple. Like it doesn't feel like a lot to us, but that connection and that presence and that consistency, it makes a big difference. And we also get all of this out of it too. So yeah, it's an amazing experience for everyone.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Very, very heartfelt. I always say that my life is split in two, before Partakers and after Partakers, and I'm not the same person I was before becoming a mentor. Before we get to Q&A, I just want to mention one more program that is coming. It's not present, but I'd be remiss not to mention the Reading Circle. We're in the process of getting DOC approval to work with the Prison Book Program to have a sort of book club with individuals inside the wall reading the same book and communicating and talking about the book itself. So what I want to do is we're going to take some general Q&A, and then if you're feeling particularly like you want to know more information about one program or the other, we're going to have a breakout room in a little bit so that you can get sort of a little bit more in an intimate setting. I'd be able to ask your questions and get some answers. But just to start off, I'm sure there's a million things I forgot to say. So if you have a question, if you just raise your hand, and Martha, if I don't see them, if you can help me, that would be great. All the questions can't possibly be answered. Yes,
Well, there
Deborah.
were a lot of questions in the chat that Martha said she was going to collect and answer. So a lot of the questions there, I personally also had. So I would love to hear answers to them.
Okay, absolutely. We'll go through that. Deborah, you had a question.
Yes, I don't know whether I missed this. If you visit one of the prisons, your commitment is once a month. Is it, how long, over what length of time is that commitment? Is it 4 years?
It's throughout their college degree, so 4 years.
Okay, so that's quite a long time.
It's a long commitment,
Long term, it's a really
but
long.
very, yeah,
Yeah,
where as opposed to the reentry program, which is a shorter
Fine. Yeah,
time
thank-
commitment,
Yeah.
but more intense time commitment.
What, I mean, one thing is that because you're in groups of 3 or 4, I would never encourage anyone not to stay the full 4 years. And I think anyone would want to, as Melanie described, going to your student's graduation would be unbelievable. But the arrangement with having 3 or 4 people on a team allows you to go on vacation, allows you to, you know, if you get sick or whatever. And the students, at least at Emerson, do go to school through the summer. So there's, you know, so that consistency is important, but the team structure really helps with that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Martha. Dan,
First and foremost, thank you for everything you do. I'm currently incarcerated in Maine State Prison. Like we've been blessed with some technology in partnership with the DOC in terms of things they do. I'm currently in my cell and I actually attended the Zoom. I wanted to know, is Partakers only in Massachusetts or are they in other states as well?
we're currently only in Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you. And Angela, thank you for your story. Real, that's inspiring. As someone who has gone to school and is, I'm currently at the grad level right now, but I got my associates and bachelors while incarcerated. Like, thank you
Yes,
for your story and your struggle.
thank you.
Bernice?
Yeah, I think my question is probably just a pretty practical one. How do you sort of get assigned to a particular location? Is it based on what's geographically closest to you, or how does the process actually work? I'm super interested in signing up, so I actually really want to make this happen.
No, that's a great question. The brief version that I'll give you before I'm going to send some of you into a breakout room with our volunteer coordinators who can answer some of those really logistical specific questions, but it has to be somewhere that's feasible for you to go. So, you know, the vicinity comes into play, but if you're willing to drive, then usually it goes to where the need is highest.
Thank you.
Alex?
Unmuting. I had 2 questions. One is, what are people learning in the PEP program? What are the mentees actually learning there, and how do we fit in as volunteers? And the other is whether there are going to be any cohorts at MCI Framingham, cohorts of women, or are you not operating out of Framingham anymore?
So I'll go backwards. Currently, BU is not offering any new cohorts at MCI Framingham. So right now that's paused. There's a few individuals who are sort of graduated into the program, but they're not continuing with the degree program right now. The second is in the empowerment program. They have workshops on things like technology, health and wellness, civic engagement, professionalism, all things, you know, that
Education.
they do. Thank you. Thank you, Angie. Education. So that it sort of goes with weekly workshops. There's guest speakers that come. The mentors have all the information about what's being shared, so you can support in that work. But again, the main piece behind it is showing up and caring.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wanted to answer the question about that Annette asked in the chat about, can you tell us something about the challenges of actually getting into the prisons? So you have to apply to the Department of Corrections, and Partakers gives you the forms for that and tells you how to send them in. And then it pretty much happens. One of my mentor partners has a you know, something implanted in his knee or something. And so that was a little bit extra to get a letter from his doctor. When you go, you do get inspected, and there's a very strict dress code. Partakers also gives you that. You can't have too many pockets, and you can't have hoods, and you can't whatever. The other day I went with one of my partners, and there was a really nice woman there with her 11-year-old son, and she was very nervous, and she was there for the first time. And so they turned her away because she was wearing leggings that they said were too tight. So I said, you can have my pants. So we went into the bathroom, we switched pants because I could not stand to see her 11-year-old son not see his dad. When they were there for the first time, they came on this rainy day from Boston, went into the bathroom and switched pants. I sat in the waiting room while my partner went and visited Brandon. So you never know what's going to happen at prison. I have an extra pair of shoes in my car and an extra pair of pants in case something like that happens. So there are all kinds of little, you know, issues, but really it's pretty easy. You go into, at least at MCI Norfolk, you go into a big visiting room, and then there are little like sets of like 3 chairs. There are vending machines, and it's really nice to get your mentee sandwich or snacks, get yourself snacks, and then you actually can break bread together. So you're allowed to bring your credit card, that's it. Not a pen, not a piece of paper. They can't bring a pen or a piece of paper. So when we say we don't tutor, we really don't tutor. We can't see their books or anything. You can't bring a picture of your family or your phone. There are lockers to lock your stuff up. So those are some of the details, but would obviously find out more if you pursue this.
Martha, I guess part of what I was asking, maybe I should have asked it more directly, is because I know people who have mentored in this program, is how much do the prisons support this program? And I assume it's different at every prison.
I
Go
would,
ahead, Rachel, sorry.
yeah, I would say, you know, working with the DOC always has challenges, but I would say they support our work. And when you show up as a Partakers mentor, there's a certain level of respect that comes with that.
Okay, because that's not always what I've heard.
I think it really has to do with who you're dealing with specifically. I think as an organization, it may be one thing, individual to individual differently.
Okay. Can you, and then I'll shut up. Apropos of what Martha said about bringing things in, can you bring in books for your?
You can bring nothing in but yourself.
Can you send
And your
them
credit
books?
card.
Can you send them books?
You can send books only from particular places, and I'm gonna you can send them. One of them is Barnes and Noble that you can send, but it's a limit on what you can send and where you send it from, and all that will be you know, more specifically outlined by our lovely mentor coordinators. So before I split into breakout rooms, I think there's another question before.
Bernice, did you have another question?
Yeah, just really quick.
The yellow hand went back up. Okay.
Yeah. Do people ever take on more than one mentee at a time? Because I mean, going once every couple of months doesn't sound like a very big commitment. And I wonder, people seem to be so enthusiastic about this. I wonder if sometimes people are interested in having more than one.
You can't have more than one.
Rachel,
in
can
part-
oh, sorry.
Yes, Melanie, go right ahead.
So
Yep.
the Department of Corrections has a lot of rules, and one of them is you can only ever be on one person's visiting list, ever. So you can only do one thing in a prison.
Okay.
So you can only visit one person, and the monthly commitment is the minimum commitment. But I know lots of teams that visit more frequently. I would say my team visits at least once a month. And our student just got like 3 visits in 1 week, the week of Christmas, because everyone was around and we had extra time and we wanted to do that. So
that sounds more appealing to me, because I could imagine that if you're in a team and you only have the opportunity to go, you know, maybe once or twice every 3 months, it's harder to form a relationship, and it just doesn't feel salient to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you write too, and the letters are meaningful, but you're right that I think much more ground is covered in person and the relationship develops more deeply with in-person visits. But absolutely, like the monthly commitment is the minimum commitment. You are definitely free to and encouraged to go more frequently if the team can do that.
Yep. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Amy, I see your hand, so I'm going to let you go and then we'll talk about the breakout rooms.
I just wanted to add to Melanie's point and to the question of how can you develop a deep relationship with someone visiting only every other month. I just can only assure you that these are extraordinarily deep, intimate connections and relationships, and they absolutely do form. Even if you are on a 4-person team and visiting every other month. And some of it is because when you sit together in these, the in-person visit is such a powerful format for someone in prison to have that time. And you are doing this over time. And these are individuals for whom you have an absolutely unique role in their lives. So one thing I would say is my first mentee visited him over the 5 years that it took for him to graduate, visited every other month and into our relationship. And by the end of the relationship, it was so deep and connected. So for many people, visiting every other month works for them. And I really just I will not discount the value of visiting every other month and particularly the team structure. So what I always emphasize with a team is one is your mentee is really busy. He has a lot of work. It's going to depend on him. Some would love to have more visits, but what you never want to do is lose the balance of the team. A really well-functioning, balanced, communicative mentor team makes good mentoring and makes really is the best thing for your mentees. So what you wouldn't want to do is get out of balance, meaning if one person has more time and the rest of the team members are visiting on one schedule and one person is visiting more, you can sort of, what you want to do is you want to find out what works best as a team. And I just want to assure you that the relationship that is ahead for you will absolutely develop in these, even if you're visiting every other month or twice in 3 months. So not to worry if that's the commitment you can make.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Amy. Can I just get a sense of who has more questions about college behind bars and who is interested in finding out more about PEP? And then there's an issue of both, but raise your hand if your primary interest is in college behind bars. Okay, so
Oh,
Got it,
no,
got it.
I don't know. Take that back.
That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a breakout room and our 3 mentor coordinators, our volunteer coordinators are going to be in there to answer your more specific questions. They are extremely experienced and have been doing this smoothly for a long time. So if you would like to go hear more, have your questions answered about college behind bars, you can join the breakout room. If you have questions about the Partakers Empowerment Program that you want answered first, you can then join the group after. Angie and I are going to stay in this main space to answer questions. And then Melanie, Amy, and Sally, if you wouldn't mind handling the questions in the breakout room. Okay, so I am creating it.
So we should just leave our hand up if we're interested in.
No, it's supposed to. Let me try that again. It's supposed to. Like
I'm just confused. Do we need?
It'll give you a choice.
Yeah, you can either not click join or you can stay here, or you click join and it will take you to the breakout room.
And then
Okay,
are we planning to come back together?
We will come back together in about 15 minutes. Less if we need.
And the breakout room is for the prison program.
Is for the college behind bars. Yes.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
So we'll give everybody a moment to select. Martha, did it broadcast?
Yes. So it's at the bottom of your screen. It says join breakout room or something like that. And then if you click that, it'll say room 1, but there's only one room. So
I don't see it
just
on my.
click.
You have to go
On the
to
bottom
I don't
right,
see it on my screen.
it's
to go
kind
to
of in
a
a
little-
black box on the bottom right.
It
No.
says breakout rooms. It's like 4
It was for me.
squares.
No,
Can you
I
click
don't-
on that?
Up. You have to click on the breakout rooms at the bottom of the screen.
I don't see the breakout room on my
It's
screen.
not on my screen.
It's
Sorry.
like
the very
4
bottom.
things to the, it's like 2 things to the left of the leave icon. Do you see the leave icon in the bottom right?
It is under more.
No,
No,
it's
it's
under
next to
breakout
more,
rooms.
it
No.
should be.
It's between.
there.
It was there and
It's
then
kind of
Oh,
on top
there
of
it
more.
is.
Is it back?
Not in my screen.
No,
It's under more.
I don't see more.
Then I'm gonna send you to the room manually.
I have breakout rooms under more.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to the room.
Thank you, Melanie.
I don't have, oh, no?
Oh, you can go to more. Yeah, you can go to more.
Under more.
What does it say in more? Meeting settings.
See the options of breakout
I
room.
just pressed it, but it doesn't.
Bottom right.
Who is trying to, I just heard someone saying. they were-
I don't know how to get there.
If you have your chat on, you
Judy.
should close it.
If you have what?
Judy, I'm assigning you.
Oh,
It should
bless
pop up
you.
now.
Because the chat doesn't, it covers up all the options.
You have to move your cursor to the bottom of the page.
Who else is trying to get into the breakout room? Are we good now? All right. I'm gonna put that over there, see what happens. So, hello, everyone. So what questions do you have? You can ask about the empowerment program, about college behind bars, whatever you need. We're here. Yes.
How long is the visit when you go?
Inside the wall?
Yeah.
It's up to you. Usually, it's about an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes we stay longer. It depends what time you go. The visiting hours are limited, so it depends how close to the beginning or end. So you can, I would say an hour is a good minimum.
How do you sign up? You do that through a website or something to go?
Visiting, you can just go during visiting hours. You no longer have to set an appointment. You just have to go during that time. Once you're on,
How does your mentee know that you're coming?
you would communicate via email.
Okay.
So usually I'll email with my mentee about like the date we're thinking of coming, and then write just to confirm we're going to be there Saturday.
Hi, I'd like to know more. Oh, sorry, I should have put up my hand. But anyway, I'd like to know more about the empowerment program and also about the reading program, since I've been doing book discussion groups in prisons in Miami, in Florida, for about 3 years. And so that really interests me. And now we're sort of moving over to Boston.
Okay, well, that is great. And I will make a note specifically about your interest in the book program in the reading circle. The concern there is we're waiting for the Department of Corrections to give us approval to start the program. So everything's sort of lined up, but is hinging on that step right now. So it's not going to move any further till they give us the clearance on that. And specifically, what would you like to know about the empowerment program?
What the commitment is there? I think I missed something as opposed
that's
to
okay.
the college behind.
So it's a 14-week program.
Oh, it's the program for people re-entering citizens.
Correct. Returning citizens.
Okay.
It's 14 weeks. That includes orientation and graduation. And you meet with them, with your mentee, once a week via Zoom, and then you meet with the mentor group once a week to sort of check in and see if you need any support like that.
That's purely on Zoom.
All over Zoom. Yep.
And both people meet in the Zoom meeting? Both mentors meet with the
2 mentors
every week.
And a mentee in the Zoom meeting.
Every week.
Every week for the 14 weeks. So it's a much more condensed. I sometimes tell people, if you're not sure about the commitment of something that goes through someone's college career, it's a shorter period of time to see, to see if it's a good fit for you, to see how you feel about it before making a 4-year commitment, because you don't want to make that commitment and then, I mean, life happens, but you don't want to know you're going to drop out. And there's many stages of support that we go through as we get closer to that. So that's not something, that you should be anxious about right now. Deborah, and I see you, Annette, and
Hi. So in the empowerment program, is there any sort of advocacy component for the person who's doing reentry? I mean, are you able to sort of help them connect with places that they might not be able to connect with themselves, or is it just strictly being supportive on those Zooms?
there are a number of resources that we have that you can share with your mentee. Just going back to what Angie said, though, you don't want to do it for them, but we definitely give you resources that you can to support them in whatever position they're in. If they need something revolving around transportation or help getting their license, we'll give you resources surrounding that to share with them.
And also help getting jobs, and if they want to go into a trade, something like that, we have speakers that come in and speak to the group about that also. Opening up a bank account, your credit score, you name it, we cover it all.
Rhea.
Yeah, I had come to one of these meetings a few months ago, and at that time you said that PEP wasn't accepting any new people. So is there a new cycle that's going to be opening up sometime soon?
So the next cycle of PEP is going to start in late spring. So we don't have an exact date. We're waiting on Brandeis's calendar, but I would say like late April.
So are you going to let people know, or do people send you their name and say, I'm interested in this year, or how?
About a month before, we send out an email with a form to fill out if you're interested in the cohort that's about to start.
Okay.
So once we have your email, you'll be on that list. Anne, did you have your hand up? And Annette,
yes, but that was one of my questions that the woman just asked. And is it voluntary for people in the PEP program also?
They apply to be in the program. There is the incentive of they get a computer, and when they graduate, they get a $500 gift card, but they do apply to get in the program, and there's limited spots. So
And does everyone in the program have a mentor?
we have some individuals that are in pre-release that have mentors that function slightly differently because they're still technically incarcerated, but everyone in the program has a mentor.
Okay, thank you.
And then Annette.
Yeah, so I think I missed something somewhere, which is that, so everybody that we would be mentoring through the PEP program are still in prison. Is that correct?
No, they're recently released. So
Oh, they're recently released.
So for example, Peggy, if your student were to be released, if your college behind bars student were to be released, and they joined the PEP program, you would be able to mentor them. But it's individuals that are coming out of incarceration that do the PEP program. We don't actually have, like Dan was saying, in Massachusetts, we don't have the ability to Zoom with. That's why we can do it in pre-release. We can't do it inside one of the correctional institutions.
So I had, oh, my hand came down.
Debbie, did you have a question?
So it's when you say it's all on Zoom, so you don't go out to coffee with your mentee.
So once you've had a relationship with them, once you've built one, we usually say wait till about the halfway point, then you're totally welcome to meet them in person. That's a comfort and personal choice. We have it over Zoom because it started during COVID, and we kept it over Zoom because it allows us to reach more individuals. And they're not all necessarily in Boston, some are in Lowell or other areas. So depending on where your mentee is living, you're more than welcome to meet them. And usually by the end of the cohort, people will meet them for coffee or grab lunch together or something.
Angie, can I ask you a question? Did you do the mentee program as well?
Well,
and
when I got into the prison empowerment program, I had kept my partakers that I had when I was in Framingham. I wanted to keep them, nothing against anyone else, but I knew them. I wanted them to stay with me, and all 6 of them, they were on a Zoom call with us.
Okay.
But that's not always the case.
Yeah, that's not always the case. I talked to Arthur about it first to ask if that would be possible, and he said yes. And my mentors, they, were willing to do it with me.
I think ideally, if you're mentoring someone in college behind bars and they're released and enrolled in the PEP program, we would want the mentors to stay with them since that relationship has already been developed. But some of the students that come into the PEP program haven't done college behind bars, so then they're assigned mentors at the time they join that program.
And Rachel, how do you?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
At the beginning of each cohort, I always let the new people know to respect their mentors, because I have so much respect for all of you. You are taking out time from your day to come and help us, to sit with us, to talk to us, to email us, whatever the case may be. So I always, say to them, please respect your mentors. Make sure you email them, make sure you talk to them. If something's going on, let Rachel know. If you can't do it, just let us know that you can't do it. So that way you all will not waste your time, because you're taking out time you could be doing something else, but you're going to take this time to help us. So I always let them know that. Respect your mentors.
And Rachel, how do you pair the mentors if you don't have a friend that you're doing it with?
Then it would be, we try to match someone who has done it before with someone new, so that there's someone experienced to support them. we match female mentees with an all-female team, so that plays a role in the matching. And then some of it is based on the short time I know you, what personalities seem like they'll go well together or complement one another as far as what the team's bringing to the mentee.
Okay, and I've had my, yes, I've had my hand up for a while.
Yep.
Since the beginning. Okay, I have two questions. I was a mentor for someone with a friend of mine. We did it, through Arthur, but it was not, I never even had the training and whatever. We just did that. So I've done that. And of course, and he was, Concord. And so I also have a pen pal that that I got through another means, but we've become, really close, and he's in pre-release now and I visit him and so forth. So, but I would be, so I would be interested in this, so my questions are two things. What's deterring me from being another mentor for the Tufts program is because Shirley I live in Jamaica Plain and that's a long ride. But it sounds, like, and since I never really had a team, I just would go out every couple of weeks on my own to Concord. And, I could probably do Shirley, but if it was less often. And this, but the PEP question I have in terms of the time commitment. So if it's 14 weeks and you have to, it sounds like you have 2 hours a week. I don't know what time of day this is. I mean, I have a huge amount of commitments to all kinds of things, so I don't even know if I could do it. So I need to know the sort of the parameters.
So the mentor support meetings, the mentor check-ins are Wednesday evenings at 5. But the time that you meet with your mentee is determined by you and your mentor partner and your mentee. The three of you choose when you meet weekly. So it can be done around your schedule. And then in regards to traveling to Shirley, there's also Norfolk might be closer to you.
It is, but it doesn't sound like there's.
They have a need too.
Oh, they do have a need now. Okay.
Yeah, we have a need. There's a whole new cohort starting in all 3 programs, which means there's about 60 students who are looking for mentors.
Okay. So yeah, that's much closer.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the PEP one, so the two mentees and the two mentors and the mentee pick the time together. Is it always once they pick the time, is it then always the same time, or can they rearrange that during the?
We encourage them to do that, but it gets moved based on people's schedules. So as long as it's communicating and you're meeting, that's really up to the group itself.
And just out of curiosity, so the program itself, you said guest speakers and all that. So they have that's another time. And how much time is it that they actually?
They spend 6 to 7:30 every Wednesday evening. One of their workshops, and then an hour with their mentor.
Okay.
At the time they determine. Bobby.
Thank you. So what was the 5 p.m. meeting with that you said happened? Because
that's a mentor check-in meeting with the mentor coordinator for the PEP program. And that's just a time where you come and bring, if you have a question or an issue or looking for a resource, it's just sort of a support time. And if there's a Wednesday you can't make it, if someone from your team is there to report back on how things are going, that's fine. We have it weekly because we find if it's every other week, sometimes we don't know what's going on and ways for us to support you in supporting your mentee, if that makes sense.
Yes, so if you have another weekly 5 p.m. commitment on Wednesdays, that means you can never be present for that, then it wouldn't be a good idea to do the PEP program?
We could still work that out if your partner could come. We'd hate to defer someone who's, willing and able. We can definitely work with that.
And is the program at Brandeis, is there any certificate or degree or what is it?
They get a certificate at the end of completing the Partakers Empowerment Program with Brandeis Educational Justice Initiative. So they do get a certificate that they can, you know, apply and use. And a lot of times they'll, you know, end up getting references, and it will help them get into other programs, et cetera.
And is there work that they have to produce, like in a course or something
They
that they
have
have?
homework
They have-
that they get each week. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Norma.
Thank you. So my understanding is with the PEP program, you are supporting them and there is a curriculum that Brandeis offers. Is that right? For the 14? And is it possible to see that curriculum or get some sort of better understanding of what is actually entailed in that?
When the cohort starts, they provide the most current version. Like right now, they're redoing the curriculum. So, but I would say, for instance, the first week they would go over Zoom basics, and they get a new computer. So just the basics of navigating the computer. They talk about health and wellness, and they'll go through everything you need to know about health insurance and getting a PCP, and, you know, making sure all of those things are covered. And then, you know, they talk to you about finances and setting up a bank account and credit scores, and goes through all of just some really practical, but really necessary things that occur when you're released and re-enter society. If that helps. Deborah.
Thanks. What happens since you only have one partner for the PEP program? What happens if you get sick or you have to go out of town? Does the other partner Zoom on their own, or do you have to reschedule?
Yeah.
Or
That's up to you. They can definitely Zoom on their own, or you can reschedule to a different date. You want to make sure someone's meeting with them regularly, but you know, people have lives and they get sick and they travel. So we're, you know, it's sort of up between you and your mentor partner how you want to handle that.
right. I have one more just quick clarification. I thought you said that the people in the PEP program had to apply to get mentors, and then you said that everybody have to have mentors. So I'm just I
No, that I understand. So in college behind bars, the college students need to apply to get mentors. In PEP, they're assigned them. So in the reentry program, part of the program is having mentors. Whereas you could go to Emerson at MCI Norfolk and not have mentors, they apply to have partakers with like an essay and, you know, reasoning why. Kathy.
Yes, hi. I was wondering, I had heard something about a separate reentry program for Tufts students, and I wondered if you could talk about the difference between that and the PEP program.
So the main difference there, Arthur, our executive officer, actually helped create that program at Tufts. The difference is the mentors, the main difference. The Partakers Empowerment Program comes with mentors where other reentry programs don't.
So are you saying that Tufts doesn't have mentors?
They don't have the mentor component, no.
Okay.
It's
Thank
similar topics and structures, but it doesn't have the mentor component.
Okay, so it's like, that's the Tuppet program?
It's called My Turn.
Yeah.
It is the College Behind Bars, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just let them know. Oops, in the corner. Okay, bring them back in a few minutes and wrap things up. Does anyone have any other questions about either
Yes.
program?
Rachel, is there, when you were talking about the curriculum, is that a certain amount of week? Is it 14-week curriculum? And is it something that we go over at each meeting, or is any of it ad hoc?
No, so for the reentry program, there's 12 weeks of workshops. It's bookended by orientation and graduation. So the 12 weeks of workshops are outlined in the PEP handbook, which all mentors get a copy of, so they know what's coming next. Also, at the end of each workshop is recorded, not the breakout rooms, but the main room. And mentors can watch the recordings of the workshop. So if there was a speaker, or if you just wanted to see, you know, if your mentee was participating, or if there was something they said they were struggling with and you went back and listened to the recording. So you have access to that information throughout. So it's planned out what week they cover what. Does that answer your question, or did I misunderstand? Okay.
Can you give examples of some of the workshops?
So the workshops are, for example, they've had, like, for the civic engagement, they'll have former mentees come and discuss what they're doing. They've had judges come and speak with them. There's a financial workshop where they'll have, usually we have one of our College Behind Bars professors come and talk about your credit score and, you know, where to place your money, how to invest it wisely. They'll cover education. Someone will speak about, you know, the traditional path of education, and then other opportunities for trade work and areas of interest for them. So it covers a wide variety of things, if that answers your question. Yeah, Annette.
Yeah, so are the mentees people who have who are really free, or are they people who are parolees as well?
Many of them are on parole.
Okay.
A good number of them are in temporary housing on parole. Some have been released as little as a few months before doing the program, some a year or so, but it's usually within the first year, no more than 3 years.
And how did they learn about the program?
Right now, I would say word of mouth. Angie, would you agree?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, word of mouth.
Yeah, we haven't had any trouble getting students. I think, you know, people have experienced it and really found it helpful. And I think word gets around and people know each other. And when people are coming home, for instance, my mentee, who's still behind the wall, had someone who was in his cohort who was getting released and told me about it. So I told Arthur, and we were able to reach out to him and get him in the program so he could graduate through PEP. So it still sort of functions word of mouth.
And 3 of my sisters, they just came home within the last week, and I let them know about it. So the next time it starts up in the spring, their name will be on the list.
What happens if the mentee is not cooperative? Does that ever happen?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
It does. I'm not going to lie to you. It does have happen. I think one of the great things we have are TAs like Angie, who one of the reasons why we have those check-in meetings is we want to know right away if your mentee isn't showing up, so that we can communicate with the student coordinator, with the TAs, and make sure nothing's happening, that they don't need some kind of support, or if they need, you know, a gentle Angie reminder that you have to meet with your mentors and it's going to be worthwhile. And I've seen in the past mentees, students go from, I don't want mentors and I don't want to do it, to this was the best part of this program that ever happened to me. So it's, you know, it's again that earning trust and waiting for that, you know, openness, and your consistency and patience is what makes the difference there. So I'm going to just bring the rest of them back in. They'll have 60 seconds. Does anyone else have a question while they're coming in? Maybe we did okay.
I just have a comment that I find it pretty shocking that this program is that knowing about this program is word of mouth, and that it's not an integral part of pre-release information to the person who's coming out that this is an opportunity.
Maybe I misspoke.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe I misspoke. There are often parole officers, et cetera, that refer
Yes.
refer their
Okay.
individuals to the program. I think I think that word of mouth sometimes goes farther, but I would be incorrect saying that was the only way.
It just sounded a little random. Yeah, thanks.
Oh. All right. Trying to find everybody back on my screen. Martha, did you want to talk about next steps?
Sure. So after this session, we will send everybody a form, and you can let us know through that form whether you're interested in pursuing one of the two programs, or both. And also, I think on the form, you can indicate whether you're interested in if you're doing college behind bars, going to Shirley or Emerson, whether you're interested in starting with the cohorts that are the students that are looking or waiting for mentors right now, or whether you would want to wait until, I think, August or September. It might be late August. August. Yeah. Okay. So there will be a few forms like that. And after that, there's, once you've expressed your interest, we have an onboarding session. So that's not a commitment. To fill out that form is not a commitment. You can still go to an onboarding session, learn more details, and see if this makes sense for you. You'll also have a conversation one-on-one with either Rachel or one of the 3 volunteer coordinators. So there are lots of points at which you can ask questions. You can see if this program is a match for you, and all that. So we will let you know. Do we have a date for the onboarding session?
We do not yet at this time.
But it'll be in the next, within the month, probably.
So tomorrow you'll get an email that has the recording of this evening. If you want to share with someone who could not be here, it will have the application to become, and we'll have the opportunity, if you have more questions, to reach out to me at rachelbalian@partakers.org, and I can direct you in the right direction.
And if you know folks who couldn't make it, even if they don't listen to this is not a prerequisite. There are lots of points of contact. You can get in touch with Rachel, or get in touch with Partakers general email, or if you know somebody else who wasn't able to make it. There are various ways to volunteer.
Are there any last questions before?
Oh, yeah.
Allison, are you?
Yeah, yes. So the other issue, if I was to be a mentor, I can't pull together a team. I've tried to get people from my church. Most of them are even older than me. I'm 77, so they don't gonna travel. So are they able to put together
Absolutely.
a group of mentors? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I signed up with a friend, and then I was matched with someone who, signed up on his own.
Yeah.
And we're a great team.
And we have a few teams who, where they would like 1 or 2 more people added to the team. Some very strong existing teams that we'd like to fill out.
Yeah, there's definite opportunity for anyone, so.
Okay.
I can't thank you all enough for taking time out of your evening. I want to respect the time and let you have the rest of your evening and your weekend. Watch for the email to come from us and reach out with any questions that you might have.
This was great. Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
I'm
Thank
so-
you.
Thanks for
you.
coming.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. It's
Really
great.
well done. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.